privately into the Soul Software Boomer Press community. So just trying it out because I do like to have little experiments in things that I'm doing, and I'm here in the YouTube. It's saying it is live, so whether I get comments or not, I'm actually not 100% sure how I'm going to work this. But anyway, it's all an adventure, as life is. And with some of the things that are possible with writing and the books that we want to create, what we've got now is very interesting artificial intelligence, if you call it intelligence. It's AI. That's what it is named. And there are the large language models now that help us to create those words in sentences, whichever way it is that you see this coming along from left to right, right to left, wherever you are in the world. Some languages do read it the opposite of what our style is. So it's always different ways of communicating as far as how we place our words together. I'm still learning the craft of writing as such. The time that I remember most with English was going back into my own school days, and even when I went back into doing 2 classes as an adult learner at our local area school at the time, I went back to do matric English again. I just decided it's what I wanted to do for something to do, and I did score a 20 in the South Australian system with high honours. So that was a lovely thing to actually do, and I did economics at the time as well. We never stop learning, so I'm still progressing and I'm still learning about that AI factor of using the tools that we have available through, that method of giving us a bit of a hand with writing. What I'm doing through this series, through this style of live stream now, is using a program that has been created by Future Fiction Academy called Rap to Write. And it's what I consider to be a very simple, easy way to use the assistance of the AI using an API key. I don't have to get into all the mechanics of it, because one of the things that they do with the free Rap to Write is provide a free course on how to use it. So I'm not doing the teaching the course, but I'd just like to have you join me while I'm progressing through my own learning with how to write, how to do the AI, and use Rap to Write, because there's lots of other tools I use as well, but I want to get better and better at one in particular, being Rap to Write at the moment, and using that in conjunction with Scrivener. But I'm not at that stage with it at the moment. So what I'm going to do is pop across to, I've got to find it now, the Rap to Write. And then I need to share a screen on my, on the Ecamm. I use the program called Ecamm. So here's the screen sharing into the YouTube. So we've got that. I'm not sure why I've got 2 visuals of that one. Oh, that's interesting. Into the YouTube, I've got 2 visuals. So something is they're pressing the buttons again. Okay, I've got a... Okay, I'm going to put that up there. I've got something that's obviously not quite right. So I'm just going to position this, hopefully. I had it right the other day, So with this, let me go. There's a little dover there. I'm going to close that off. What that does, I don't know. And it's not doing what I want it to. So let me close this one off and see what comes up. It's just sharing the screen. Look, I hope that that is big enough for you. The screen sharing itself does the whole screen, which I wasn't aware it was doing that. Can you see it well enough? Because it's showing my background, the 2 menus that I've got there. Thankfully, Look, I'm hoping that that's good enough for your screen there. Okie doke. Let me go into this. I'm just going to shut the door. I just realised I had background noise there, so apologies for that too. Not very professional, is it? But I'm not a professional. I'm a regular person learning and growing with writing. So here we go. Now, just as a recap of what I've been doing with the Raptor Write for you, Raptor Write, you come into this area. I'm up to this particular stage of it at the moment. So I've started with the choice of the AI model I want to use for this in particular, and that is Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4. And you will see that down here at the bottom we've got Open Router API key, and there's other API keys in there. Okay, so I would have the Anthropic key in there as well, so that I've got the choices that I want from the Raptor Write. So you set up which model you're going to use first and which of these types of outputs. I like the long, so I'm going to choose that, and then you move along to, not that one, but the project, choosing the project that you want to load. This one I have from the previous weeks started a project called Testing with Scrivener Raptor Write, and the title to be advised, because I don't know what the title is that I really want for this particular project yet. So I don't have to choose yet, and at some point I might put that in. So here we have the main area where it's got the switch to active folder, add a new folder. You can delete them. There is a trash folder and you can sort them differently. Okay. And you can actually move these around if you want to. Now I've got them in the order I want them to. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Now here, as I'm doing this share, I do actually like to have myself here in the corner as a overlay, as the option to show a picture in picture. So I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to change the shape to the round. And where the heck? Oopsie, well that's gone interesting, hasn't it? There we go. And it's not showing up as a round. That's interesting. It should. Crop split screen, no. Picture in picture shape is round, and let me just, I don't know what the crop split screen. I don't know what I've hit there. Apologies. Oh, good heavens. I've got no idea what I hit then. There could be some things that have changed a bit since I last used them. So let me see. I've got no idea with this screen sharing why it's doing what it's doing. Let me just go a little bit bigger. Does it work? And am I sharing the screen? Yeah, it's saying so. And I'm up in the top. Oh, really? This is weird. I think there's something that's come up that I don't know about as a difference. Okay, let's hope that's okay. Okie dokie. Now, back to Raptor Write. It's still not showing up properly from what I can tell. Just need to shift it over a bit. Let's just have a look at that. One day I'll have it where I've learnt the full process. It's just not doing that edge for some reason. The edges are too small, too big. I am messing with the buttons, my apologies, because I actually want it to be better than this. And it's just not coming up the way I want it. Picture in picture shape, no, not doing it there. So I'm not sure. And am I using the right things? Oops, and I've just noticed in my, oh goodness, in what I'm sharing there and settings here, there's a few things that I really need to be sorting out from the look of it. And I probably don't need to be doing this while I'm online already, but let's just have a look. I'm going to take that off. I need to do the share screen. You can mirror. Now I don't know what that's doing. Why? Okay, well, I've got the things where they need to be, I think. Let me just have a looky, and if there's comments, I'll be able to see those too, maybe. Okie doke, let's go back to the Raptor Right. It can be a bit frustrating, can't it? Life can be. It's still not doing that right. Show current application. Yes. Current application. Raptor Right. And why is it doing that? It should be giving me a screen that is going to fit into our eCam. So let me just have a quick look at the eCam. Is it still? No, it's not doing it right. Oh, this is really annoying me. I'm going to really have to do some work on this later as far as the setting it up goes. Go that way. And what shows up there? Is that better? Yeah. But we can't see where the outline and all that is. No, I'm on the outline. I can't see that left-hand side. There's something in the settings with the cam that's I'm not quite getting in position properly. And I just don't know why. No. Look, I'll leave it at that. We can still see what I'm doing most of the time. If I move that whole thing over, it's not doing anything there either, is it? So, sort of does. Okay. If I do that, it's to do with the positioning of that on the page or something. Gonna have to play around with this a bit more, I think. To do with the way I've got the scene set up, I think. Oh dear, dear, dear. Okay, here we are with this one. It's doing weird things. Oh gosh, 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 gosh. It's just so annoying. Device settings, layout, mirror. Right, now I can see what I'm doing at least. Okie doke, let's go back to Raptor Right. and the raptor right. The screen is sharing properly, and this is where I edit this, I think. Just depends, doesn't it? And will I have time? Okay, so what we've started with, when we started, it's the outline. So it's got the outline, the prompts that I used into this particular, yep, LLM. I did this a couple of weeks ago. That's why my mind has gone a bit blank. But what we did is put in the prompt to create an outline, which is the one that I'm on now. You can see that here. Okay, so creating the outline so that what we've got is 30 chapters roughly as a 3-act book. And I can't remember if it's a fantasy even. It would be in the prompting here. You can always look up, here we've got in the outline, you can always look up here in the binoculars to see what the thread of it is. So you continue the story below. This is the prompt, the general system prompt, and it starts with that, you know, the Act 1, the shattering. So that's what this prompt is, and it continues the story. So with the outline, when I started to build into the characters, it's given us the characters already and where I was up to after doing the characters and the world building. That is this, and then the first chapter. Now, keep in mind that this is only a first draft. It's not something that is going to be the be-all and end-all, and I'm not going to do anything with it except publish it. No, that would be ridiculous. It is just a draft that later on I'll be going through in one of the next sessions type. And, you know, you take all these out once it's in Scrivener or somewhere, because what I'm doing is putting it into Scrivener, the program that I use for what's going to be the final editing and publishing, and some of it will go into, well, I'll explore that with you once we get to them, okay? So at the moment we've got the Prophecy Awakens as the first one, then we've got the Chosen of the Flame, and each time it is, you see that little green bit, it actually does do the shift into, it saves before you shift into the next chapter. So I'm pretty sure we'd gone through this one because I've done the initial creation of these chapters, and as you can tell, there's the word count. That's roughly the words, and the tokens are there. So as you move along, you can get a bit of a gist of the size of the chapters and, you know, where it's going to. So we've got the Gathering Storm is the third chapter, and if you go back to the outline, you'll see the Prophecy Awakens as those first three. Then it's the Chosen Flame, the Gathering Storm, Council of Shadows that we've got there as the fourth. And I was going to be moving through, there's the ready to get into generating the fifth chapter, like chapter 5, which will be the Map of Whispers. Okay, what I had started doing is to go back to these and start doing some of that rough editing. Now, I didn't get to it through the week. I wasn't able to do that. So what we've got is wherever it is I got up to, and that's the thing, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that I'd gotten up to, as far as the recorded part that's in the Burma Press community, I'm pretty sure that I'd gotten up to the chapter 3 in going through the, you know, reading through this and editing what I'd like to change that the AI hasn't quite got right in the story. Now, this first one that I'm doing, I'm not going to be too particular because I would rather actually work through it to get used to how to use it and how to do it for myself. And I'm wanting to share that with you as we're moving along and doing this as a live stream and in the community. So, how much of that is going to be, that is really annoying me, that one on in the YouTube. But hey, I'm planning on doing these more as a half-hour stint, not anything much further than that. So where we are now, I think where I'd gotten to was the chapter 3 to do those rough edits. So I'm going to go onward to chapter 4 in case that I'd already been through this one, and we'll work through this one and generate the next few. Actually, I might do that. No, look, yeah. I'm not sure whether I did this last week or not. I'm going to read through it so you're getting the gist of it anyway. So the Council of Shadows. So the war room had seen better days. Ancient tapestries depicting past victories hung threadbare from stone walls, their once vibrant colours faded to muted browns and greys. The great table that dominated the chamber bore scars from countless council meetings, ink stains, sword marks from heated arguments, and the deep grooves left by desperate fingers during siege planning. I have a funny feeling I did go through this one, so we'll just do a couple of paragraphs. King Ulrich entered as the cathedral bells struck the 9th hour, his crown sitting heavy on greying temples. Behind him filed the most powerful and fractious nobles in what remained of Ethermore. Lord Marshal Garrett, scarred veteran of the Dragon Wars, took his place beside Chancellor Brennan. Across from them, Lady Morgana of House Ravencrest adjusted her midnight blue robes with calculated precision, her pale eyes already scanning for advantage. So this is where some of these things that you can pick up that you might not want to have a Lady Morgana, because it's very much out, it's a name that's out of Merlin, that's a child's, well, it's not a child's, but Merlin is a series that was created a few years ago now. But Lady Morgana was the stepsister of King Arthur at the time. And, it probably doesn't pay to have too familiar a name like that. So this is where you'd go back to the character list. And if she's in there as Lady Morgana, you would probably change it to something else. Okay. And at this point, there is not antagonist, Lord Commander. I'm just trying to find Morgana. And I will and can do the search in here. No, I don't think you can in Raptorite itself with these. That search is for the prompt only. So this is where you'd probably, if it's getting too big, this is where in the shift over to Scrivener, you do your copy paste, or whichever way you prefer to do it. There's other ways of downloading files that you can use that can be picked up by other programs too. If it's not Scrivener, you might do it through Novel Crafter or something like that uses JSON files and that sort of thing, or Markdown. I can't see Morgana there, so we'll go back to reading this. But that's where, if you see, and why speaking out the words can give you that jolt, because sometimes we hear it better as we're reading. We can read it better by hearing it, so that you can get some of those things that aren't quite right for you as you're moving through that read. Okay, so here we've got, Your Majesty, Lord Garrett began without preamble, I must protest this fool's errand. We are bleeding territory daily. Refugees strain our resources beyond breaking, and you propose to send our supposed champion, a stable boy, into the wilderness with criminals and outcasts. High Seer Thalen's voice cut through the marshal's objections like a blade. The oracle's flame does not lie, Lord Marshal. The boy is marked by powers beyond your understanding. Powers? Lady Morgana's laugh held no warmth. I've seen parlour tricks more impressive than a few sparks. Meanwhile, real threats mass at our borders. The Serpent Queen's agents move freely through our lands. The shadow cults grow bolder, and you would have us trust everything to children's tales. And so this goes on. So you finish going through these to where you want it to finish, where it's up to that you're actually reading through. And it's highly likely I will go back to this and edit through that a little more severely before next week. So what I'll do, that's where that's at now. So as we move onward to doing this blank title, what we put with one of the good things with using Wrap to Write is now we've got these particular files here, I would turn on the outline and I would have the characters and world building for each of the generations, and I'd have the last 2 or 3 of the chapters, probably 3, because you're not needing to continually put all of it in there for every single time you're starting a new chapter in the prompts. And you'd see how it goes. And from here, this is where you just do that backslash. See how we've got run the LLM there, and it's that particular shape of backslash on a new line of its own, and it starts to generate the next chapter. So I'm going to do these now, just that one at a time, and read through them to validate. That's, it's the way that we do it. We've just got to validate that it's flowing well and doing the right thing, suggesting a reasonable flow for the story, and that it's not, adding things in we don't want and leaving things out that we do want. So from here, if I just click anything else like a return, I wasn't thinking a return, no, something else. Oh, it's still generating, sorry, that's why I can't do anything yet. As you can see, the word count's going up down the bottom here. And now, because all of this is bold, if I just click the escape, no, it's not. Well, oh, that's something that's changed. Okay, so from here, I can do the thumbs down or the thumbs up. If I like the general look of it, I can do that. So I'm just going to do the thumbs up for now. And that's where we're at so far. And then we are going to go and put the title, The Map of Whispers, in the blank title space. Go like that. And hit the return. Oh, don't hit the return. It goes to a new line. Okay. Now what we're going to do is up here, we're going to add a new file. Whoop, this one, new document. We can actually add a few of those in a row if we want to. And when you scroll down here, we've got the next one. Okay, so just to give you that flow again, so from this one, after validating, which we're going to do now, and I'm going to just, now do we actually leave the chapter title in? Well, I have done, yep. So, the cell beneath Lermengard Castle smelled of damp stone and old despair. Naira Shadowmere sat cross-legged on the narrow cot, her dark eyes fixed on the iron-banded door with the patience of someone who'd spent years learning to wait for opportunity. Her leather vest bore the scuffs and stains of rooftop escapes and midnight ventures, and though the guards had taken her obvious weapons, she still moved with the coiled readiness of a viper. So 3 days she'd been here, 3 days since they dragged her from the Gilded Swan Tavern, where she'd been negotiating the sale of a certain parchment to certain interested parties. 3 days of stale bread and questioning by increasingly desperate officials who seemed to think they'd simply hand over her prize out of patriotic duty. They understood nothing about the Thieves' Guild code or the price of information or what happened to those who gave away valuable secrets for free. So the sound of multiple footsteps echoed down the stone corridor, accompanied by the jingle of keys and hushed conversation. Naira remained perfectly still as the door swung open to reveal High Seer Thalen, flanked by two castle guards. Behind them lurked a figure she didn't recognise, young, dark-haired, wearing fine clothes that sat awkwardly on his frame like borrowed feathers. "And Miss Shadowmere," Thalen said, his ancient voice carrying an authority that even thieves respected. "We need to talk." "Already told your Chancellor everything I'm willing to tell," Naira replied without moving. "The map piece is real. It's mine by right of acquisition, and my price stands firm. 50,000 gold crowns and safe passage to Westport." "Circumstances have changed." The High Seer stepped into the cell, his white robes seeming to glow in the dim torchlight. "The kingdom can no longer afford to bargain for what we desperately need." Naira's eyes flicked to the young man behind him. Something about the stranger set her nerves on edge. Not danger, exactly, but a sense of barely contained energy, like standing too close to a lightning rod during a storm. "And who's this, your new negotiator?" "Caelan Ashworth," the young man said, stepping forward despite the guard's obvious nervousness. "The Oracle's chosen. We're to be companions on this quest." "Companions?" Naira laughed, but the sound held no humour. "Is that what they're calling conscription these days?" Thalen moved closer, and Naira caught the scent of parchment and ancient incense that clung to his robes. "The eastern borders continue to collapse. Dragon sign has been spotted in the mountains. We have perhaps 8 weeks before the capital itself becomes untenable." "Not my problem," Naira said, though something in the old man's tone made her stomach tighten. She'd heard the rumours, seen the refugees streaming into the city like a human tide, but rumours were just stories until they came for you personally. "It becomes your problem when the dragons wake fully," Caelan said quietly. "When the cities burn and the roads run red. Where will you run then, Naira Shadowmere? What will gold buy when there's no one left to trade with?" She studied his face, noting the sincerity there, and beneath it a flicker of something that reminded her of flame dancing behind glass. Pretty words from a stable boy playing at heroics. "The stable boy didn't choose this," Caelan replied, and for a moment golden light seemed to dance around his fingertips before fading. "But the choice has been made for all of us. Help us and perhaps we all survive. Refuse and we all burn together." Naira felt her carefully maintained composure crack slightly. That brief display of power had been real. She'd spent enough time around charlatans and hedge wizards to know the difference. Whatever else this young man might be, he wasn't entirely human anymore. "Okay, the map piece," Thalen said, his voice taking on the weight of prophecy. "How did you truly acquire it?" Despite herself, Naira's hand moved instinctively to her left sleeve, where the precious parchment rested in a hidden pocket lined with silk. The guards had searched her 3 times, but missed the guild's most basic concealment techniques. "Same way I acquire everything," she said, carefully. "The guild doesn't trade in artefacts that hold," Thalen pressed. "The magical resonance alone would burn through most thieves' fingers. You're not most thieves." The observation hit closer to home than Naira cared to admit. The map fragment had been burned when she first touched it, a searing pain that should have left her scarred, but instead seemed to awaken something sleeping in her blood. Shadow touched, the guild masters had whispered when they thought she couldn't hear. One of the old bloodlines. "Aha! My grandfather was a scholar," she said finally, the words dragged from some deep place she'd kept locked for years. 4 years. I'm going to edit that one already. The words dragged from some deep place she'd kept locked for years. "Before the purges, before the guild found me on the streets, he left things, hidden things." Understanding dawned in Thalen's ancient eyes. The Star Weaver line. I should have seen it sooner. Don't know what you're talking about, Naira lied, but her voice lacked conviction. The name stirred memories she'd spent years burying. A gentle man with ink-stained fingers who spoke of ancient lore and far places, who'd vanished one night when she was 7 years old. Your companion, Mirren, shares that bloodline, Thalen said softly. Perhaps that's why the oracle's design brought you both to this moment. That's an awkward sentence, um, but I'll reread it at some point. Okay, so this here, oh, that's something there. The revelation hit Naira like a physical blow. Family. After all these years of believing herself alone in the world, the possibility of connection, even distant, even dangerous, threatened to crack the careful wall she'd built around her heart. The map, Caelan said, his voice gentler now. If it's truly part of the lost cartographer's work, it would lead us to the crystal orb, to salvation for everyone. Naira closed her eyes, feeling the weight of decision settling on her shoulders like a mantle she'd never wanted to wear. The smart play was to stick to her demands, extract maximum value from these desperate nobles, and disappear into the chaos when the kingdom finally fell. She'd survived worse by trusting no one and looking out for herself first. But the memory of her grandfather's face whispered of different choices, of duty that transcended personal survival, and deep in her bones she felt the pull of something larger than herself, a current that might sweep her to destruction or carry her toward a destination she'd never dared imagine. Slowly she reached into her sleeve and withdrew the map fragment. The parchment seemed to glow within a light, its ancient symbols shifting like living things across the surface. Both Thalen and Caelan drew sharp breaths at the sight of it. Well then, Naira said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands, I suppose we have a kingdom to save. And that's where we go. Get rid of that. S. So that's the validation of this particular chapter. Most of it sounds quite okay to me. It's in the fuller picture with doing further drafting that it will become more of a full story. And now what I'm doing here, I'm going to do the next chapter. I'm still going to leave the outline characters and world building, but I'm going to undo chapter 2 and put in chapter 5, and then we'll do for this next chapter 6, run the model with the backslash, run that chapter and see what it gives us. And it can take a little bit of time where I'll check whether I have any other people in what I'm doing in the community, and no comments in the YouTube. No. So all good. And we're up to 618 words, 700, 800, and that's down the bottom. We'll get the bright highlight when it's finished, bright yellow. Well, at least we're getting over 1,000. So I shall just hit the confirm, the marked text. I'm not going to continue with this now, but I'm hoping that what you can get from this is the gist of how I'm doing this process at the moment. And that is going to be where I leave it for today. That's doing a weird one. Okay, the share is, I'm just trying to figure out how, oh yeah, that's the little share. Okay, let me go to the scenes and the overlays. Switching out of the shared screen. That was a bit weird. But look, it's all part of the fun of pressing buttons and discovering different ways of doing writing, of creating our words into understandable writings. I'm having fun doing this, so I'll continue with this through whenever it gets to the point of having the well, not novel, novella, or whatever it turns out to be, and the number of words that it's going to be. It's mainly the exercise of going through and learning the process using the free Wrap to Write program that Future Fiction Academy have hosting. They created it, and it's actually very good. I'm finding it a lot of fun. There is other things that I'm playing with as well, but I'll bring those as I get to learn more of the different ways. And we'll probably go through the Scrivener again next week. Okay, so with that, what I'm going to do is finish the YouTube live stream. So thank you for being here. And for those that may manage to watch this as the replay, and also to the